7. It's the 8th annual Holiday Bowl, and coming up at halftime, we'll have a look at the most exciting Holiday Bowl ever, and maybe one of the great games in college football. We'll have some other information, some stats, highlights, when we return to San Diego.
Hey there, handsome, it's easy to see. You're the world's best looker, at least to me. You got a style that makes me stop and stare. You turn me on with the...
And Carl Miller was the man that handled the football on the return, and we told you that he was explosive, and he is explosive indeed.
As we mentioned, Arkansas deferring their choice to the second half, and obviously in the second half they want the football because statistically the game very, very even throughout the first half. The only difference significant is that on the scoreboard.
All set to go as Arkansas will start it off here with Cal Cagney, the quarterback. And on a direct give this time, trying the middle of the line, it was Tellini Wright and Dan Salamia. Trying to stop the fullback, Marshall Foreman. And they didn't give him too much room to run at all. He gave him a couple of yards, and that's it.
Arkansas bringing about 2,000 fans. They're very disappointed that the flight schedules would not accommodate more. They could get a lot of fans to San Diego. The problem was with the holidays and with the date of this bowl game, they couldn't get them back because everyone seems to be flying on the pre-Christmas flights.
Ball on the 34-yard line, 2nd down and 8. Foreman again. And hit by Fulcher, the free safety, and Scott Stephen, the double back. Stephen is really something else, 228-pounder, a junior, but he's got the speed and the strength to go along with it. And I'm just wondering where he might fit in as a potential pro, because he could go either a little bit bigger, play a linebacker, maybe even drop back and play one of the safety positions.
I think he's got the frame to get a little bit larger. The devil back in this defense is really more of an outside linebacker in normal parlance.
3rd down and 4 from the 38-yard line. Rouse takes a pretty good pop initially by Billy Robinson, and then is really put down.
Well, if they go to his forward motion, he'll get the first down. If they don't, he'll be about 3 yards short from where he ended up on his back.
There's James Rouse, 6'2". He's from Little Rock, so he gets a chance to play in front of the home fans quite often, playing part of their schedule up in Little Rock. He had over 4,300 yards in high school and 48 touchdowns. He runs a 4.5 40, so he has it all.
I tell you, that man has it all to be able to do that backflip without that springs in his legs.
1st and 10, Rouse again.
Number 35.
Battle was there, number 37. Tellini Wright, who was injured in the first half, number 96 right there with his back to you, back in the game. The 1985 Holiday Bowl is brought to you by the Sperry Corporation, a world leader in computer-based technology for business, industry, government, and national defense. And by Levi 501, the only jeans that shrink to fit you and you alone. Levi's Button Fly 501 Blues. Williams, Park, Upchurch, Paquette, and McGee, frontline offense for Arkansas. And that is Foreman. Knight and Fulcher were there to combine on the stop.
Fulcher gets to the line of scrimmage incredibly fast.
On the tackle, John Knight and David
He
Fulcher.
tries to play that safety position very much like a linebacker, and he's so strong.
First half highlights, Kyle, had them very close. As we said on the way in, these two teams evenly matched. Total offense, ASU 177, Arkansas 154. Arkansas with a little edge in rushing, and Arizona State with the edge in the passing. Right on down the line. Foreman and Rouse as they break the bone in the backfield. And Cal Cagney tries to sweep it, and Dan Salamua.
Well, breakdown on the offensive line for sure. Salamua did a great job of getting penetration, but you've got to have blocking down on him as he gets inside, over the top. And Salamua getting the penetration, moved out to the defensive tackle position.
A loss of 1 brings up a 4th down and 6. Greg Horn to boot. And 1 man deep, and that's Anthony Parker. This time he gets a good kick away, although not very high. And Parker will let it go in, and they'll bring it back out to the 20-yard line. A 52-yard kick. So we're underway in the 3rd. It's Arkansas trailing at 14-7 to ASU.
In my travels around the world, I found no two countries alike. No two governments are alike. There's a lot for governments to disagree on. But 31 governments have found at least one thing they can agree on: the power of Sperry computer systems to make government manageable. Now, if 31 countries can agree on that, who knows what else?
Have you heard the news about the 501 blues? It's a personal gene fitted specially for you. When you walk that walk, you tell the world you're the greatest. Man, these blue jeans just can't lose. I've got to get the blues on my body. Levi's buttons are blue, so blue, so blue, so blue. The 501 blues.
The way you blew into town and looked all around, well, I knew right then that you were new. You looked so fine and you cut such a fine line that I knew what I had to do. So I'm keeping an eye on you. Keeping an eye on.
There's a new truck on the road. It's called Comanche. It's built by Jeep. It's worth a look.
Now there are special factory-to-dealer incentives on selected Jeep vehicles and Eagle.
Arizona State in white leading at 14-7. We're in the third with 11:30 to play here at the Holiday Bowl on USA Sports. Aaron Cox with David Finotti, Randall McDaniel, Kevin Thomas and Todd Kalis, and Danny Villa with Gallimore in the front line offensively for ASU. Split back set to start him off. That's Jeff Van Raphorst, and blocked. The pass attempt was blocked that time. And I believe it was Calvin Williams. Yes, sir, there he is. Kyle, that young man's got to feel terrific, coming from where he was in a hospital bed last spring with that brain tumor and playing tremendously this year for Coach Ken Hatfield.
And he's got another year to go.
Anderson, Lasker, and Wyatt, the deep secondary. They'll play a zone coverage. Van Raphorst with a 2nd and 10. Garrett is in as a receiver now in motion 85. There goes Hill. Crawford. Good running room. And finally stopped by Greg Lasker, the safety man. Crawford's a nice looking runner.
Well, Arizona State doing some different things than we've seen before with the men in motion, pitching to the outside, and they're able to get to the outside of Arkansas, something that the Arkansas defense has not allowed too much this season. They normally string it out very well. The man in motion is again something that Arizona State has not done quite as much, and Arkansas has not seen it.
Crawford with 66 yards, 12 carries. There it is. Good block in that last run by Todd Kalis, the right guard. And this time it's Darryl Clack, stopped by Kevin Anderson. Kevin Anderson, who the last time we saw Arkansas was out with a looked like a severe shoulder separation, Kyle, that needed surgery. But they got a little extra help, a little spiritual help, found out that there is such a thing as divine healing.
Well, as was reported in Sports Illustrated, it was one of those situations where after they took the next x-rays, they couldn't believe the remarkable and the miraculous recovery.
2nd down and 3, ball at the 45-yard line. Amoya, and Vinny Amoya is stopped by Calvin Williams again.
Well, in that story, they had been watching one of the television evangelists who had said that, that someone out there is being healed, and next thing you know, he was. Made some believers.
Arizona State with 3 points in the first quarter, 11 in the second, and they lead 14-7 here in the third. Cox, Hill, and Gallimore are the wideouts. Amoya and Clack are the running backs. Van Raphorst, it's complete. And that is Gallimore, the tight end. Stopped by David Dudley, the outside linebacker, to that short side of the field.
Again on the almost straight drop back behind the tackle, and they're throwing back to the weak side. With that, the secondary rotates really to the side that the quarterback is dropping, so they're going to the wide side of the field, throwing back to the weak side. And Gallimore is a good-sized target to be able to hit.
And according to John Cooper, the coach at Arizona State, Gallimore, the most improved player he's had on his offense this year. 2nd and 6 at the 48-yard line. Van Raphorst to pass. Incomplete and knocked down. Good play by Kevin Wyatt. Intended for Bruce Hill, and Wyatt knocks it down.
Not sure if Wyatt has the breath knocked out of him or he was fearful because he thought he was able to get his hand on the ball. As it turned out, he may have barely tipped it, but he took a very risky move inside, and the ball could well have been caught.
He may still be thinking about the ball that Cox caught for the touchdown in which he was beaten late in the first half. Almoya and Crawford split backs. There's Kevin. 3rd down and 6 from the 48-yard line. Van Raphorst. And incomplete. That's intended for Aaron Cox. Kevin Anderson, the man we talked about, the sophomore from Morrilton, Arkansas, was there to make sure he didn't get it done. So now Van Raphorst, who's 9 for 17, as you just saw, will go to the sideline on a 4th and 6, and Mike Shue, the punter, will come in. Bobby Joe Edmonds is back. And we'll let it go as the ball bounds at the 12. Now, Kyle, your thought on whether he should have come up on that ball?
Well, I think the ball was kicked so far to the wide side, I think he would have had to make a full-speed catch, and he decided the risk wasn't worth it. But that shows you the strength of Mike Shue, and one reason why they rate him so highly. He's one of the few true freshmen in the Pac-10 that is playing.
Arizona State 14, Arkansas 7. This is USA Bowl time as we give you an idea about what the weather's been like here this week. Absolutely magnificent. 70s to 80s, sunshiny, beautiful setting. Van Dyke and Derek Thomas, the running backs now, in that wishbone. And on the crack, they give it to James Rouse as Arkansas taking the ball from the 5-yard line. Dan Salamua and David Fulcher stopping the tackler, and that's James Rouse.
Well, this situation for Arkansas, they were behind to Baylor, to SMU, to A&M. This is nothing unusual for them to be able to have to come from behind, and I'm sure with that experience, they're not too panicked, at least at this moment.
John Cooper, he's an emotional sort of a fellow, while Ken Hatfield, his coaching adversary tonight, is more on the calm side. Edmonds, Thomas, here's Bobby Joe. And running more tonight, Kyle, out of that full bone rather than what we saw in the Houston game on USA when they broke the bone quite often.
And the breaking of the bone many times leads into more of a passing game, but I think they've made the decision, particularly in this part of the field, they're going to go to their strength, let everybody in the stadium here, Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego, know what they're going to do. And they're going to try to move the ball with what they do best.
Ken Hatfield upset about something. They've got a 3rd down and 1. For a moment, they thought they may have had the first down, but not so, with the clock moving at 8:15 to play here in the 3rd. Van Dyke, Rouse, and Thomas, the running backs. And Derek Thomas gets the carry. And coming up off the bottom that time was Frank Rudolph, the defensive end, number 99. He's 250 pounds from Scottsdale.
You know, what Arizona State is doing now is they're not playing straight defense. They're going ahead and angling. They're lining up off the nose tackles. And they're just making angled runs and penetrations, and that's why they're able to mess up the Arkansas blocking schemes right now.
They'll bring the sticks in to see if they got themselves the first down. Cal Cagney, if you're keeping tabs, and maybe might be questioning a little bit where he is, he's 5 for 9, 48 yards passing, while Van Raphorst is 9 for 17, 81 yards. And they get the first down. James Shebest coming in with a play. All Southwest Conference the last 2 years. Well, his numbers were cut down considerably this year, Kyle, but a reason for that, a healthy Donnie Centers available.
And Shebest, to his credit, has not complained about that too much.
Van Dyke, Thomas, and Rouse are the running backs. Cal Cagney, that's James Rouse. James Rouse! And out of bounds, knocked away by Scott Stephen.
Well, that's what Arkansas, that little move, being able to get on the outside, that's what they need to get their confidence back. Inside the dive. He goes off the outside pitch man, and Rouse has the speed. I thought perhaps he might have gone out of bounds earlier, but he turned it in clearly.
Those are the kind of runs that got that average up to 5.6 yards every time he carried the football during the regular season. 9 touchdowns, 8 rushing. As Kyle mentioned, the most ever by a freshman at Arkansas. He has 57 yards so far tonight. Cal Cagney trying to go deep, intended for Centers. And it's incomplete under the coverage that time of Eric Allen. Allen is a local San Diego product from Arizona State. And Cal Cagney will bring it back. And they'll go with a 2nd and 10. Ball on the 37-yard line.
Sure, after Arizona State saw the Houston film, Arkansas was able to hit Houston deep at least for 3 touchdowns and got behind them more times. Their secondary people for Arizona State are not going to dive in too much on the run.
Shebest and Luters are the wideouts. 2nd down and 10. Mark Cal Cagney. Bobby Joe Edmonds, the receiver. And ripped pretty good by Frank Rudolph and John Knight. Rudolph, a Pac-10 academic honor student.
Bobby Joe Edmonds flow to the other side. Quarterback has the option here. He's reading the cornerback. If the cornerback goes back, he's going to hit Edmonds then on the turn in, and the tackle comes out to try to provide the block.
Well, they got crushed pretty good over there in the far side. Brings up a 3rd down and 4, and there's Bobby Joe Edmonds coming off.
3rd and 4.
Edmonds is a senior from St. Louis, Missouri. Slightly injured. Thomas, Van Dyke, and Rouse are the running backs in the flex bone. And they'll give it to Derek Thomas. Sean Patterson, one of the down defensive linemen, a defensive tackle from Temple, Arkansas, stopped him right there. 4th down and 4. Unofficially.
4th and 2.
4th and 2 now, they're saying.
Got the punting team right up there on the sideline, perhaps for the quick punt. The time clock down to 15 seconds.
4th down and 2 official.
They're out there quickly. They've got less than 10 seconds to get the punt off. Trying to do that so Arizona State can't get their punt return team on the field. This is a normal Arizona State defense.
Horn, you saw his average. This time he gets away a good kick. And ASU is going to decoy and let it go into the end zone. So a 55-yard kick, and that average for Horn is starting to come back to respectability after a 23-yard punting average in the first half. 14-7, Arizona State leading Arkansas with 6:14 to play here in the 3rd period. College basketball gets back into full swing on USA starting January 2nd. Vanderbilt goes against Mississippi in the first in USA's Southeastern Conference games. Game time is 8 Eastern. Then a week later, we're off to the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland for some Big East action. Connecticut against Georgetown. That's January 8th, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Arizona State on the move. And on the give, it's Crawford, and Crawford right up the middle. So a pretty good gain that time by Crawford. Nick Miller, the linebacker, the hitter.
Crawford, the double team and the lead block, a tremendous block there by number 40, Vince Amoya, that set up that good pickup by Mike Crawford, which was good enough for the 1st down.
Anderson, Lasker, and Wyatt, 3 deep zone coverage for Arkansas. Crawford, the running back. Amoya is the fullback. Give it to Crawford again. Lasker had a shot at him, but it was Miller who rides him down and out of bounds. So it'll bring up a 2nd down situation. Yeah, I believe he got about 8 yards on that one, Kyle. He's had 84 yards and 14 carries so far tonight.
Well, they're picking up tremendous yardage on 1st down here against this Arkansas defense.
And now using Daryl Clack a little bit more. As Crawford goes out, Clack comes in. Van Raphorst, the quarterback. Calvin Williams jumped, no flags thrown. And Clack gets the call. David Basil, the hitter.
Ball carrier, number 42, Daryl Clack.
Clack's got a lot of talent, Kyle. He just wants to try his luck at the pro game, evidently. He's got over 2,600 yards career at Arizona State.
Well, may not be very smart this year. For example, if the USFL does go out of business, and who knows what's going to happen, or if there is a merger or something of that nature, there's going to be a lot of ball players trying to play those positions.
3rd down and 1. And they get the 1st down. Clack ridden down by Wyatt, but not before ASU continues to grind it a little bit, and they get another 1st down. 6-yard pickup for Daryl Clack. Arizona State now with 7 first downs rushing, 7 passing. Little consistency. That must make John Cooper happy. 14-7 is our score. We're in the 3rd, 4:25 and moving. Remaining in the quarter. Blocked. Good rush that time. as David Basil came in there and put a little pressure on.
By number 76, Gerald Jones.
But it was Gerald Jones, the outside man, down position, that deflected the ball.
Say Basil is only 6 feet tall. He must have great jumping ability to be able to knock that one down. Of course, Gerald Jones, who you did say was the man who knocked it down, is 6'4".
Van Raphorst is 9 for 18 now. Harris and Amoya are the running backs. They got a shotgun. Nope. Yes, they do. And it's complete inside the 50 to Darrell Harris. David Dudley was right there. Harris might be the fastest of the Sun Devils. He is a 4'4" 40 man, and that is flying.
Well, I've got some other people. Paul Day and Clack also ran on the 400-meter relay team, so they got a bunch of people that can burn.
Van Raphorst will have Aaron Cox in the game for the first time. And they'll bring in Bruce Hill. There are some numbers. 1 interception, 1 touchdown. Shotgun again from the 49. And deflected again. Nick Miller was over on the coverage, intended for Jeff Gallimore, number 87, the tight end. So that means that Mike Shue is going to have to get a call with a 4th down and 4 from the 49-yard line.
Arkansas, I think, very fortunate defensively. They haven't put that much pressure on Van Raphorst. They've tipped a couple of passes, but nowhere near getting sacks.
Bobby Joe Edmonds is back to cover for Arkansas, but it'll go out of bounds, and it's inside the 20-yard line. And we will return with a 14-7 Arizona State lead in the 3rd. We're coming back.
Introducing the G-Shock 5200 watch from Casio. The sports watch that's ready for action with a built-in shock absorber. It's tough, so tough, this G-Shock can take a slap in the face and not even flinch. The G-Shock 5200, just one of Casio's water-resistant sports watches. It's one tough watch to beat.
My name is Jerry Davis from Odessa, Texas, and I lost 86 pounds in 4.5 months.
The Herbalife Opportunity Showcase. Watch people who decide to change their lives and succeed.
I lost 72 pounds in 4 months. I've been able to keep it off now for over a year, and I have more energy than I ever had and I ever dreamed I would have.
Herbalife. Woo! Opportunity Showcase at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific on USA Tonight.
We're back in San Diego, and Arizona State with a 7-point lead with 3:27 to play in the 3rd here at the 8th Annual Holiday Bowl on USA Sports. Defensively, Arizona State will set up now, working against an Arkansas lineup that has Donnie Centers split out to the near side with James Rouse, Edmonds, and Miller in the backfield. Quarterback is Cal Cagney. And this is Bobby Joe Edmonds, and he tries to get it outside, but can't. And quite frankly, Kyle, I've been impressed with some of the pursuit that the defensive line of Arizona has showed us here today. They've done a good job of containing that sometimes tricky offense of Arkansas.
And the only time that they've really broken down has been on that last part of the option where the cornerbacks have gone to the quarterback instead of staying with the pitch man. And I'm sure Coach Kenny Hatfield, that we're looking at right here, knows that a lot better than I do.
Hatfield trying to get his club moving. His club over the year had generated about 367 yards total offense on an average per game. And Cal Cagney under pressure that time, throws it intended for Luther Franklin and out of bounds. Sean Patterson was pressuring on the play.
Yeah, threw it away for sure. And that's the kind of play that maybe Greg Thomas might try to make the completion and perhaps risk the interception, where Cal Cagney, the senior, 5th-year senior, who for many years ran the scout team for Arkansas with his experience, does a smart thing and throws it into the almost into the stands.
You know, actually overall, throughout the year, the offensive line of Arkansas has really done a good job. Their quarterback has only been sacked 12 times. So they've given him good protection. The way they run that offense, they're hit and they're gone. And that's a quick hitting offense. This time they want to pass. Swing out, Bobby Joe Edmonds to the 30. And he started to get the speed underway before he was wrapped up by Greg Battle.
Well, that's exactly what we talked about earlier, trying to get Bobby Joe to the outside. As we've mentioned, he is their punt returner, though we haven't seen much of that today. Only one return for him with the punt. And to the outside, trying to look off the defense to the far side. But when you've got linemen coming out in front, like Callis, setting up that good block for Bobby Joe Edmonds, you know it's going to happen.
Bobby Joe, who's returned punts for almost 1,000 yards in his Arkansas career. That's a lot of punt returning, and does double duty as a running back and a pretty good receiver. Cal Cagney again on the first down. Gets the ball over the 40-yard line. Scott Stephen, outside man, or the double back in the scheme defensively for ASU, made the tackle.
Well, there's what you want the quarterback to be able to do. Pick up at least 3-4 yards, hopefully 4 or 5 on the quarterback keeper to set yourself up into a 2nd and 5, or at the very worst a 2nd and 6 situation.
You don't really have a lot to look at if you're Arkansas trying to run against Arizona State, because they only gave up 126 yards a game. They're tough. You try and pass against them, you don't do that real well, so you've got to do what you do best, and that's that. And that's Bobby Joe Edmonds. David Fulcher, Billy Robinson combining on the tackle.
Well, you know, so many times in college football we talk about critical third down situations, and on occasion players get lulled into believing that they've got to make the third downs pay, and thus they don't concentrate too much on 1st and 2nd down. Here Arkansas is faced with another one of those dilemmas, 3rd and short, and several times today they haven't been able to make it.
Yeah, like 7 of 13 have been converted, this time from the 45-yard line. They've got a 3rd down and 2. Cal Cagney. Tremendous defense there by Billy Robinson. Oh, Arizona State with a big play when they had to have it.
Call him the rover back, really plays more strong safety. If the tight end blocks down, he comes up, and he not only came up, he got into the backfield that time and made the tackle.
So that means it's going to be time to kick. Robinson set it up, Horn to kick, and back by himself will be Anthony Parker at his own 19-yard line. Not much wind to deal with here, so that's not going to have any effect. Parker, fair catch calling at the 20, and that's where they'll spot it and play. A 39-yard kick as we go to the final 51 seconds of the 3rd quarter. And the ball spotted at the 21-yard line, or very close to it. Here comes Jeff Van Raphorst. Boy, this kid, they say, Kyle, could be the best ever. When you take a look at the people that have preceded, including a Mark Malone or a Pagel, both in the pros right now, Danny White,
yeah.
You got to say, hey, that's quite a feat. He's only a junior. Could have over 7,000 yards before he's done at ASU. Bruce Hill in motion. Give it a clack. Outside, can't get back to the line of scrimmage. And they batten down the hatches, and on the far side, Lasker, along with Kerry Crawford, stopped him.
Take a look at Nick Miller, 47, one of the inside linebackers. Here it is again, the man in motion. 42 Clack on the outside. Good penetration early on the inside, and that allowed the pursuit on the outside to be able to catch up.
14-7, 2nd down and 11. Ball on the 20. Arizona State with the ball in the lead. Shotgun. Gallimore was out of the play to the near side as Van Raphorst tried to hit Darrell Clack that time, and Nick Miller was over there to defend. So it's incomplete. I'm impressed with the way Arizona State uses their receivers. And they use their tight end a lot. I saw that time Gallimore drifting in a position where he was open, but they went instead to Clack. And now, for one of the first times tonight, Eric Bradford in defensively as a nickelback with 11 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. 3rd and 11. Complete. Bruce Hill, tackled by Otis Lloyd, the rover back.
Well, don't be surprised. Arkansas is not a blitzing or a stunning team, but they're not getting anywhere near Van Raphorst. He's sitting back there 5, 6, 7 seconds, has plenty of time, can step up and throw, and any good set of receivers are going to finally get open, even with all that secondary coverage. The Arkansas defense hasn't gotten to him, so they're going to have to try to blitz.
That's the end of the 3rd quarter. Arizona State still leads it 14-7 over Arkansas.